The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please report to the floor and take your seats. All members of this House will please report to the floor. The clerk will ring the bell. We're about to have the morning roll call. We are about to have the morning roll call. Representative Cannon, are you here? Oh, there you are. I need you to report to the rostrum. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. We have a busy day ahead of us. And so we'll make it as long or less long as you want. But we have a lot of business in here. Committees are meeting. We're rapidly coming up on crossover day next week, so we got a lot going on. Chair wants to make mention before we have our devotion of the passing of a truly great American and a great spiritual leader. We don't have many spiritual leaders who counsel with both parties anymore, or counsel with presidents from both parties, but a Baptist preacher from the mountains of western North Carolina named Billy Graham did that. And Billy Graham passed this morning at 99 years of age. Preached to more people in live audiences than any human being in all of history, and truly made a lasting contribution to all of us. So let's keep the Graham family in our thoughts and prayers this morning, and thank you for your respect. You may be seated. Our chaplain, we will begin our day here with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the lady from the 58th House District, Representative Park Cannon. Representative Cannon.
Good morning. It is with pleasure that I introduce our chaplain of the day, Sherry Latham, who is from UMC, the United Methodist Church, which is a Presbyterian church, here in Druid Hills in District 58. We'll keep it nice and brief and get our word going on the day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Cannon, for this opportunity. And thank you also for so aptly representing the district where the church, Druid Hills Presbyterian, that I serve in the city of Atlanta, lives out her ministry. To each of you here this morning, I bring greetings from Presbyterians for a Better Georgia. And on behalf of myself, I want to say thank you. To me, public service is one of the noblest callings, and it is not for the faint of heart or for the faint of hope. So I'm incredibly grateful for your service. As I've been contemplating my remarks for this morning, my heart has wavered over what words could possibly land in such a diverse body like this one. Our world and our country are so highly polarized that it seems like sometimes there is absolutely nowhere to find common ground. Nowhere except for maybe our kids. And it's so exciting for me this morning to look out and see so many young people in this space today. Ask the mom in rural Georgia who fears that the lack of broadband means that her kid is always going to be behind, or the dad talking to his son about the dangers of the hoodie. Ask the nana in hijab, the millionaire whose baby girl has autism, the teachers dropping knowledge and love every single day. Hope for our children is something that we have in common. I come from a long youth ministry background, and one of the sacred places for my denomination is a conference center called Montreat, tucked away in the mountains of North Carolina. It happens to also be the home of Billy Graham. One thick, humid summer night, especially for the mountains, I squeezed into the Greystone Auditorium for the youth conference variety show. Now, let me just say, it is not called a talent show for a reason. Acts are determined by the luck of the draw, and as one of my colleagues would say, a lot of variety, questionable amount of show. The smell of teendom, that potent combo of anticipation and sweat and Axe body spray hovering in the night air, I watched Joey trudge to the center of the stage. Head low, hands hanging by his side, and my stomach did a little belly flop. Watching people embarrass themselves is my kryptonite. It seemed to me like Joey had Down syndrome, and if it takes a pile of courage for your average teen to get up in front of 1,000 of their peers, it seems doubly, maybe triply so for a differently abled young man in such a hypercritical era. Joey tromped to the center of the stage. He leaned in too close to the microphone, and the entire auditorium heard his massive, nervous The accompanist on the piano in the corner began to pluck out Amazing Grace. Except center stage, nothing happened. I mean, nothing happened. And so the pianist started again, and still nothing. Just Joey staring wide-mouthed into the spotlight, his hands hanging by his side. And then some teenager, like an angel from heaven, voice quivering but sure, rang out from the middle of the crowd, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. Another voice joined in, and then another, that saved a wretch like me. And then you could hear it, the unified and spontaneous slide of hymnal against pew, the flutter of the pages as the crowd scurried to get on the same page, to find the words, to propel the song forward. I once was lost, but now am found, and Joey found his voice. He did not waver. His voice joined the song of his peers, the words rising in swirls of hope and twisting like streamers in the rafters, and Joey led us home, capable and sure and full of hope. When we use our voices to elevate the voice of the often overshadowed, we can make one heck of a glorious song. So may we grab our hymnals, or whatever that is for you, emails possibly from your constituents. Let us grab them and let us find a song that we can sing together. For the child who wonders if she will ever catch up, for the kid who longs to know that he is safe, for the ones who wonder if they can ever be heard and if their voices matter, but who can lead us to great beauty if we will turn our ears and our hearts to join in the song. Will you please join me in prayer? Holy God, stir in us the longing for a common song that values the voices of all, and give us the courage to sing it, even when our voices quiver. Amen. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. The chair recognizes Chairman Darlene Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has reviewed the proceedings from the previous legislative day and found them to be correct.
Chairman Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, on 159, who's following me, establishes the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction, bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Report of standing committees. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 958 by Representative Belton of the 112th and Dickerson of the 113th. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 10A of Title 19 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to safe place for newborns.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 959 by Representative Ridley, the 6th pile of the 32nd travel of the 132nd. Bill being entitled an act to amend Article 4 of Chapter 18 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the inspection of public records.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 960 by Representative Peace Old of the 133rd, Holcomb of the 81st, and Cook of the 18th. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 28 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating the general provisions for financial affairs.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 961 by Representative Hanson of the 80th and Taylor of the 79th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 36 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating the organization of county government.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 962 by Representative Cassaway of the 28th, Ballinger of the 23rd, Gravely of the 67th, Barr of the 103rd, Powell of the 32nd. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 13 of Title 48 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to excise tax and the furnishing for value to the public of any rooms, lodging, or accommodations.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 963 by Representative Brockway of the 102nd, Harrell of the 106th, Holcomb of the 81st, Williams of the 168th, Clark of the 98th. Bill being titled Act to amend Part 3 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to educational programs under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 964 by Representative Jones of the 91st, Carter of the 92nd, Kirby of the 114th, and Stevenson of the 90th. Bill being titled Act to amend an act providing for the compensation of the members and chairperson of the Board of Education of Rockdale County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 965 by Representative Ridley of the 6th, Powell of the 32nd, Gravely of the 67th, Perkle of the 155th, Tarvin of the 2nd. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 40 and Code Section 48-5-504.40 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to motor vehicles and watercraft.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 966 by Representative Oliver of the 82nd, Willard of the 51st, Abstration of the 104th, Ballinger of the 23rd, and Welch of the 110th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 11 of Title 15 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to the general provisions of the Juvenile Code.
Juvenile Justice.
House Bill 967 by Representative Beverly of the 143rd and Paris of the 142nd. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 48 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to revenue and taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 968 by Representative Jackson, the 128th, Powell of the 32nd, Jaspers, the 11th, Powell, the 171st, Trammell, the 132nd, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 42 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to probation.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 970 by Representative Dreyer, the 59th, Oliver, the 82nd, Frye, the 118th, Thomas, the 39th, Wynn of the 89th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 16-11-127 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to carrying weapons in unauthorized locations.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 971 by Representative Chandler, the 105th, Hilton, the 95th, Cantrell, the 22nd, Barr, the 103rd, and Stovall, the 74th. Bill being titled an act to amend Part 15 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to miscellaneous provisions.
Education.
House Bill 972 by Representative Willard of the 51st, Oliver of the 82nd, Reeves of the 34th, Thomas of the 39th, Peak of the 141st, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 11 of Title 15 and Code Section 49-5-8 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to the Juvenile Code and powers and duties of the Department of Human Services.
Juvenile Justice.
House Bill 973 by Representative Jones of the 47th, Burns of the 159th, England of the 116th, Trammell, 132nd, Nixon, the 69th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 21 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to ethics in government.
Rules.
House Bill 974 by Representative Martin of the 49th and Raffensperger of the 50th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 6 of Title 31 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to state health planning and development.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 975 by Representative Gassaway of the 28th, Jones of the 167th, Hogan of the 179th, and Buckner of the 137th. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 8 of Title 12, the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to solid waste management generally.
Natural Resources and Environment.
House Resolution 1224 by Representative Gonzalez of the 117th, McLean of the 100th, Park of the 101st, John of the 85th, Wallace of the 119th, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on the establishment of a living wage.
Industry and Labor.
House Resolution 1225 by Representative Prince of the 127th and Tanner of the 9th. A resolution urging Congress to pass the Building Rail Access for Customers in the Economy Act.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1226 by Representative Clark of the 98th, Stevenson of the 164th, McLean of the 100th, Jones of the 167th, Gravely of the 67th. A resolution creating the Joint Study Committee on Combat Sports.
Special Rules.
Senate Bill 184 by Senator Hufstetler, the 52nd, Underman of the 45th, Beach of the 21st, Thompson the 14th, and Albers of the 56th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 4, Chapter 12 of Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Office of Planning and Budget.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 262 by Senator Jeffries the 17th. Bill being titled an act to amend an act to provide for a new charter for the city of Stockbridge.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 263 by Senator Jeffries the 17th. Bill being titled an act to incorporate the city of Eagle Landing.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 301 by Senator Kennedy the 18th. A bill being titled an act to amend Title 53 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to wills, trust, and administration of estates.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 330 by Senator Wilkinson of the 50th, Mullis of the 53rd, Walker of the 20th, Black of the 8th, Burke of the 11th, and others. A bill being titled an act to amend Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
Senate Bill 356 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Jackson of the 2nd, Underman of the 45th, Jordan of the 6th, Beach of the 21st, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 8 of Chapter 12 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust.
State properties.
Senate Bill 371 by Senator Anderson of the 24th, Stone of the 23rd, Mullis of the 53rd, Hufstetler of the 52nd, Miller of the 40th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 48-2-15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to confidential information.
Ways and means.
Senate Bill 381 by Senators Thompson of the 14th, Schaefer of the 48th, Williams of the 27th, Harbin of the 16th, Martin of the 9th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to surplus line insurance.
Insurance.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 943 by Representative Mathiak of the 73rd, a bill relating to insurance. House Bill 944 by Representative Peak of the 141st, bill relating to revenue and taxation. House Bill 945 by Representative Peak of the 141st, a bill to provide for a homestead exemption from certain Macon, Bibb County ad valorem taxes. House Bill 946 by Representative Clark of the 147th, a bill to amend an act relating to the Board of Education of Houston County. House Bill 947 by Representative Houston of the 170th, a bill relating to watercraft and all-terrain vehicles held in inventory. House Bill 948 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, a bill relating to selling and other trade practices. House Bill 949 by Representative Clark of the 98th, a bill relating to imposition rate computation exemptions from state income tax. House Bill 950 by Representative Shaw of the 176th, bill relating to hunting seasons and bag limits. House Bill 952 by Representative Tanner of the 9th, a bill to amend an act to create a new charter for the city of Dahlonega. House Bill 953 by Representative Cannon of the 58th, the bill relating to uniform traffic citation and complaint form. House Bill 954 by Representative Hilton of the 95th, the bill relating to landlord and tenant. House Bill 955 by Representative Fry of the 118th, the bill relating to Hope scholarships and grants. House Bill 956 by Representative Perkle of the 155th, a bill relating to veterinarians and veterinary assistant technicians. House Bill 957 by Representative Price of the 48th, the bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 969 by Representative Turner of the 21st, a bill relating to burden of proof and presumptions. House Resolution 1195 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, resolution honoring the life of Polk County Police Detective Kristen Sneed Hearn, dedicating a bridge in her memory. House Resolution 1197 by Representative Sheffield of the 60th, resolution urging the General Assembly to appropriate $75,000 to, when available, to fund inflammatory autoimmune-related disease research. House Resolution 1198 by Representative Spencer of the 180th, a resolution urging the United States Congress to increase the per diem rate for nursing care in state veterans' homes to 75% of the state private nursing rates. House Resolution 1199 by Representative Cox of the 108th, resolution recognizing Mr. Jesse C. Long, dedicating an interchange in his honor. Senate Bill 362 by Senator Tippins of the 37th, a bill relating to education. Senate Bill 387 by Senator Gooch of the 51st, a bill to amend an act to create a new charter for the city of Dahlonega. Senate Bill 398 by Senator Harbison of the 15th, a bill to amend an act reconstituting the Board of Education of Talbot County, through second readers. Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Smith, of the 134th District, Chairman on Committee on Insurance, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Insurance has had the following under consideration, the following bills of the House, and has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 760 do pass. House Bill 818 do pass. House Bill 754 do pass by substitute. House Bill 689 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Richard Smith, of the 134th District, Chairman. Representative Epps of the 144th District, Chairman on Committee on Motor Vehicles, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Motor Vehicles has had under consideration the following bills of the House. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 401 do pass. House Bill 761 do pass. House Bill 898 do pass. House Bill 940 do pass. House Bill 804 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Epps of the 144th District, Chairman.
I'm going to ask all House members to take their seats. I'm going to even invite those that are otherwise busy out in the anteroom discussing the future of civilization to come back in and take their seats. We've got a very special guest with us, and I think that it would behoove us to pay him the honor and respect to which he is entitled. Back in 1974, when Johnny Isaacson was elected to this body, I think there were probably less than 10 or 15 Republicans here. 19, he tells me. He worked hard and became the minority leader, and did a great job and conducted that office with dignity and class, and the heart of a true public servant, as he continues to do now. He got his start here, and so I think it's appropriate that we give him a good welcome back. He chairs, Senator Isaacson chairs not one, but 2 committees in the U.S. Senate. And I dare say that if we had more like him up there, we wouldn't have to read about gridlock and deadlock and kicking the can down the road. This man is one of the finest public servants that I know, have ever known. He is a good man and a great leader for Georgia. Welcome to this House, Senator Johnny Isaacson.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mighty nice words. Thank you. Thank you very much. David, I'm not sure that I deserve those kind remarks, but my staff is taping them. I'm going to play them for my wife when I get home tonight. It is an honor to be back home. I got my start in Georgia politics in 1974 here in the Georgia House of Representatives. Spent a lot of time here and in the Senate, later as school board chairman, now in the United States Congress. But the best days of my life were on the floor of the Georgia House, being out there with all of Georgia's people, making the laws for our state. I'm not going to make a speech, but I want to leave you with a lasting impression about why we all do what we do. You know, it's no secret that the United States of America is the greatest place on the face of this earth. You don't see anybody trying to break out of America. They're all trying to break in. And for a very special reason, we're the safest, freest, most opportunity of any place in the world. But you can lose that. You can lose that when the people in the People's House in Georgia and the People's House in Washington forget where they came from and don't do the right thing for our state when they have to do it. And I want to commit to you that I'm going to continue as long as I can, do everything I can for the greatest state in the United States of America, the state of Georgia. Now, for all of you, thank you for what you do. Thank you for making this state special, and keep it up. You know, we have some challenges ahead of us. We've got to make our classrooms safe for our kids. We've got to make our country prosperous and so that it employs our workers in our area. We got to make sure we're safe all the way around, and we can do that if we work together and lock arms and forget about petty politics and forget about partisan politics and work on the people's politics. I want to end my remarks by saying this. I've had a lot of friends in public life over the years, none better than David Ralston, but also haven't known a better one than Nathan Deal. I know this is Nathan's last swan song as governor of the state of Georgia. He and you together have done a marvelous job that's going to be capped by a tax bill that's going to lower the tax rate on income, make prosperity more important for the people of Georgia, make our schools better, make our lives better. You deserve a lot of credit, and Nathan deserves a lot of credit for being a great governor of a great state at a great time. So God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America. Thanks for all doing. Let me know what I can do to help you. You all right?
All right, we're going on now. I know many of you want to greet Senator Isaacson, but we're going on to morning orders. We have other guests that we will be recognizing here shortly. Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Peak, Representative Pizzold, and Representative Carpenter. Not a healthy meal between them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Pizzo's here with me. Representative Carpenter here today. Today, folks, is Georgia Restaurant Day. Many of you may not realize that actually the second largest industry in our state is the restaurant industry. Over 18,000 restaurants, almost 500,000 citizens are employed in the restaurant industry, and so today we celebrate Georgia Restaurant Day. Hope you'll join the Georgia Restaurant Association as they have their Taste of Georgia today at the depot from 5 to 7. I hope you'll come there and taste some good eating. We also want to recognize the Georgia Restaurant Association. Recognize Mary Mac's. Many of you all have eaten there over the years. As the John Farrell is with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Mary Mac's is represented today with Taylor O'Sullivan, and then Daniel New with the Georgia Restaurant Association is here as well. They're upstairs in the gallery. I hope you'll give them a warm welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Dreyer for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am being joined by Representative Shannon, Representative Wynn, and there are a few other folks that wanted us to recognize this morning. Moms Demand Action that are down here. I just met with a group of moms and children. Atlanta Public Schools are out this week, so children came down, met with me before I came over here. They had some sensible requests. We could talk about mental health care. We could talk about the fact that the Department of Corrections and Grady Hospital are the two biggest...
Gentlemen will suspend. Let me get you some order.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We could talk about the two biggest mental health care providers in our state are the Department of Corrections and Grady Healthcare and our failings on that. But the moms that met with me this morning asked us to take a look at the background check loophole that allows people to buy guns without a background check at gun shows. They asked us to look at regulating bump stocks. And I think there should be overlap with our parties. I think there are a lot of people that we represent that want those. And then there are harder issues like an assault weapons ban, guns that can fire 45 rounds a minute. But one thing, the last thing I'll say, a little girl in my office this morning said, I said, what would you like to tell a legislator? And she said, why are guns more important than kids? And I know you all are good faith and good hearted, but sometimes that's what it looks like. And so I urge us to do something. Thank you. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Kelly for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. Up in the gallery, I want to recognize a special group that's here with us today. We have Matt Hayden, a welding teacher at the Polk County College and Career Academy in Cedartown, as well as 4 of his students. And so I would like for us all just to stand and make them welcome. They're all participating in our welding program, and Matt has been doing that now for 19 years at our high school and 21 years with one of our technical colleges. So they are helping us grow our workforce in Georgia, and I just want to welcome them to the People's House.
Chair recognizes Representative Teasley for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. This month, we've been celebrating Black History Month, and I rise this morning to recognize the bicentennial of a great man. This month, 200 years ago, Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey was born in Talbot County, Maryland. After spending 20 years as a slave, he escaped to the North in 1838 and changed his name to what we now know as Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was an abolitionist, a writer, an orator, and minister. He wrote a number of books, the most well-known of which was an autobiography titled The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave. He later co-founded the North Star, an anti-slavery newspaper, and also served as an advisor to President Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. Yesterday, February 20th, marked the anniversary of his death in 1895 at the age of 77 years old. In 2013, Congress installed a statue of him at the United States Capitol in Emancipation Hall. In what is considered by many as the greatest anti-slavery oratory ever given, in July of 1852, Douglass delivered an address that would become known as "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." In that speech, he laid bare the inconsistencies of celebrating independence from tyranny while denying freedom to others. He appealed to their common faith to confront the injustice of slavery. And one cannot help but hear the echoes of this address in Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech when he talks about the promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. You see, Frederick Douglass's Christian faith both informed him of timeless truths and motivated him to act. So let us never forget that so many of the great movements of freedom throughout history have been built upon the foundation of the basic truth made clear in the Bible, that all people are made in the image of God and are therefore of infinite worth in his eyes. I am inspired by and grateful for the life and work of Frederick Douglass and his courage to call a nation to recognize that truth.
How many of you had noticed that so many of our congressional delegation in Washington started out here? And I got another one. Got his start here. Congressman Barry Loudermilk is with us today, and we're honored to have him. Y'all must be out up there. You're out a lot up there. I had the privilege of serving with Barry. We're happy to have him here today. Please help me welcome back to the House Congressman Barry Loudermilk.
Thank you for having me back again. It's good to be back here. I was 30 years behind Senator Isaacson. He got his start in 1974. I started in 2004. But I see some of the same familiar faces sitting in the same locations Ron sitting right where he was when I sat right in front of him for many years, and I've seen so many of you that I served with. And I'm not going to take a lot of time because I know what you're going through right now. It's a busy time, and you got a lot of work to do. And let me tell you, what you're doing is extremely important for the people of Georgia. I believe more so than what we do in Washington. And one of my goals is to make you even more important, because I think you can serve the people because you're closer to the people than what we could do in Washington, D.C. I just met with the governor a little while ago, and I'm very excited to hear that you're going to cut taxes. And if you want to do something for every person in Georgia, you cut those taxes. When I came back after we cut taxes in Washington, D.C., I sat in church. 3 rows behind me, somebody hollers and says, "Hey, Barry, thank you." I went the next day, was speaking at a Rotary Club. 5 people say, "Thank you." Everywhere I've been going, they're saying thank you. Why? Because I can do more for my family now because you're taking out less. You want to do something for the people in Georgia? Get that tax bill passed now. I appreciate it. I remember when Speaker Ralston sat over here in the corner, and we really worked on a lot of things, but one of the things we were never able to get done is a tax cut bill. And this is the year you can do it. God bless you for all you're doing, and just keep up the good work. I'm jealous because you get a sine die. Our first year in Congress, Congressman Buddy Carter, who also sat over here in the corner with us, looked at me right after sine die here, and he said, "You know, if we were back home in the State House, we'd be home by now." But thank you for all you're doing. God bless you. God bless America, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Wilkerson for a morning order. He waves off. Chair recognizes Representative Stovall for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the members of the House. As I stood before you, for this body last week to make known the unfair treatment to Clayton County, it is only right that I come back before this body to give an update. I would like to thank Governor Deal and his staff, Speaker Ralston, Lieutenant Governor, and Delta for working to find a stopgap solution for not only Clayton County, but for other counties that were affected by the tax exemption. Hats off to our Clayton County delegation, Superintendent Beasley and the school board for leading the charge, to Chair Turner and commissioners, our mayors and city council, our students, residents, and to our minority leader, Trammell, Representative Smyrie, and so many of you who work behind the scenes on our behalf. There is still work to do to find a more permanent solution, and we will probably be back before this General Assembly. But for now, we celebrate Clayton Stronger. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Buckner for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Leader, Speaker.
You're welcome.
It is indeed my honor and my privilege to welcome to the People's House the capstone AP class from Columbus High School, which is the #1 high school in the state of Georgia. and they are in the balcony. If y'all could stand so you could be recognized. I'm especially proud of this group because I graduated from Columbus High School, and there's an extra special student up there, my daughter, who is a graduate of that school as well, and two great teachers, Mr. Giles and Mr. DeQuattro. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for welcoming them to the house. Thank you.
Great group, great group. Chair recognizes the Minority Caucus Whip, Representative Hughley, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. To the ladies and gentlemen of the House, I come to this well with a heavy heart because in 1958, it was the young people who stood up and made this country take notice and made us change the way we did our business. My heart is heavy because mothers are burying their children in Florida this week. And each day we see another mother in her pain. And I feel that pain, and I think enough is enough. We've had enough moments of silence. We've had enough of our hearts go out to you. We've had enough of it's not the right time to talk about that. It is the right time. Martin Luther King Jr. said we must recognize the urgency of now. And we should feel that urgency because our children should not be marching for their lives. When we send them to school, they should be safe. And I urge us to be men and women of faith and put down everything that separates us and stand with our children and have an honest discussion about protecting our children at school. We must have an honest discussion about what is the appropriate safety measures for weapons in this state. Who should have them? We are smart enough to figure out how to keep weapons out of the hands of those who don't belong with weapons. We are smart enough to do something about mental health in this state. It is time out for saying that our hearts go out to you. We need to stand with our children. We need to listen to our children because they are our future. If we don't secure our children, our future will be lost. So I call on all of you, men and women of courage and faith, to come and let us have an honest discussion and let us solve this problem on behalf of our children. Thank you, Mr. Leader. I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative. Chair now recognizes Chairman Ron Stevens, and I think he'll be joined by Chairman Harden and Chairman Parrish for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, today is Pharmacy Day again. We've got two pharmacy schools here today, South University and Mercer University. You'll see all the white coats. We couldn't get them in the gallery, I don't believe, because there was just too many of them. But I hope whenever you see them today, they're probably going to call you out and ask about issues that might be before you. Just hope you'll take time to see the folks that are in your voting district. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll yield the well.
Thank you, gentlemen. Chair now recognizes Chairman Nimmer for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Leader Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to come up this morning, members of the House and guests in the House. Up here in the gallery to my left, to your right, I have Leadership Pierce. If you will, stand up, please, team from Pierce County. This is a group of leaders that are going around the state and their communities learning more about how government works and how business and economic development opportunities can come to them. If you will, colleagues, stand and make them feel welcome today in the People's House.
Chair recognizes Representative Nelson for a morning order.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Leader. Colleagues, I rise this morning to give you a moment in Black history. I would like to speak just a moment or less about my beloved late grandmother, Miss Eula Mae Johnson. Miss Johnson was born on December 25th, 1898. She lived to be 104 years old. She lived in her own home about 99% of her life. And what I have today is one of her many awards. I was blessed to take my grandmother on 3 different cruises. On each of the cruises, she was always the oldest person on the ship. And people started saying after the second cruise, is that lady from Georgia there? Because no one was never older than her. She was 92, 93, and 94. She could farm, she could fish, she could hunt. She was always my hero, the late Miss Eula Mae Johnson, who lived to be 104 years old in Augusta, Georgia. Thank you.
Boy, I always wanted to do that. You may want to pay attention to this. Excuse me, clerk. I forgot to get your ear. Sorry about that. Mr. Clerk, next time I'll warn you. I wanted to get both of them equally as well, not just one. The chair now recognizes Chairman Meadows for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I would appreciate a little bit of your ear. On your desk, you have this wonderful little thing with the tags on it. Since I have 9 tag bills and rules, I want to show you something else. Front page, back page, front page, back page, front and front. You know how many tags we got in this state? 221 different tags. And we're sitting out here, I've got 9 in rules. I have let the B bill out, so we're going to have a B tag. And I let the forestry bill out for today or tomorrow. I want to urge you, Nimmer got me is the only way I can say it. But if you have a tag bill or one that it doesn't even have to be split the money, I will let you know that the earliest possible date to get a tag is July of 2019. The DOR is flooded. It is my intention to have a study committee on this in the House and have them deeply involved in it to where we can come up with a solution. Why do I need a solution? I've got one group where the annual fee is $25, $20 to the organization. One fee is $35 with $22 to the organization. One fee is $35 with $10 to the organization. It's all over the ballpark. We need a set amount that if we're going to have organizations get the monies, it ought to be the same across the board. Think about it. Oh, one other thing. You 7 people that ain't got your tags out, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, how many tags did you say? 222. That's a lot of tags, y'all. And thank you for being willing to bring some order to this with your study committee. The chair now recognizes Representative Gravely, Representative Lumsden, Chairman Lumsden, and Chairman Hitchens for a morning order with a host of others. No, they're not joining you two. Representative Lumsden, Gravely, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, friends in the House and in the gallery, we recognize and welcome a very prestigious, a very special group to the Capitol today. The Fraternal Order of Police are here today. I want to tell you just a little bit about their background. The Fraternal Order of Police was started in 1913 Today, their membership is comprised of 332,000 men and women in law enforcement. The Georgia chapter of the FOP started in 1968. Membership is comprised across the state of both state and local law enforcement officers. Among the many opportunities that the FOP provides to local and underfunded departments and agencies of law enforcement is they provide ballistic vests to those men and women in departments that are underfunded and can't afford to put ballistic vests on their officers. Additionally, the FOP is the largest law enforcement organization in the world. So I would ask that if you've got constituents that are going to be up today, I'm sure you do, please let them know that you appreciate the work that they do, you appreciate the sacrifice, and you appreciate their service. Mr. Chairman, I yield the well.
Thank you, gentlemen. Chair now recognizes Representative Elam for a morning order. Representative Elam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to welcome a group of students from our Dougherty County school system. They're members of our Georgia Civic Awareness Program for students. These students are learning to be better leaders by learning about their local government, their state government, and their federal government. They will be spending their spring break in Washington. Today, I welcome them here to their state capital to learn about their state government. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to have them here. The chair recognizes Representative Jackson, Derek Jackson, and Representative Bazemore for a morning order. Take your time, don't rush. Representative Bazemore for a morning order.
Thank you. This morning, I want you to help us recognize the Girl Scouts from Fayette County who are in the gallery. If you would please stand and be recognized. Here, good. Go ahead.
Did you talk about the cookies yet?
No, go ahead.
Good morning, colleagues. And also, you're enjoying some delicious cookies on behalf of myself and Representative Bazemore. Now, if you did not get your flavor, you need to go and talk to your colleagues because we did not, there were so many different requests. But enjoy. And also, we want you to vote in favor for the bill that's coming out to change the bridge. Over the camera.
And again, I just want you to know that I was a Brownie and a Girl Scout.
Brownie and a Girl Scout. What great memories. Great cookies. Thank y'all. We appreciate that. Representative Stevens, I think you needed to complete your morning order, Mr. Chairman. Morning order from Chairman Ron Stevens.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. One more time, I'll be joined by Representative Petrie. The Richmond Hill High School Career Tech Student Organization is here in our house today, accompanied by Yvette Crow, the Skills USA Advisor. Would you stand and let us welcome you to the People's House? Thank you.
Floor Leader Rogers has a morning order. You're recognized for a morning order, sir. And Representative Gasaway will join him.
Thank you, Mr. Leader, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Burns. Today is Habersham County Day at the Capitol. We both represent Habersham County. Like a lot of things, I think they got caught up in the Senate. That's been happening a lot lately, but we just wanted to go on record and say that our folks from Habersham County are here today, and we want you guys to make them welcome. So if you don't mind, just give them a round of applause, and maybe they can hear you over in the Senate where they're not doing anything. Thank you. Yield the well, sir.
Thank you. Chair recognizes. You coming back? Chairman Nimber for a morning order.
Thank you, Leader Burns. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'd like to have your attention for a moment. I had not prepared to come up here this morning to bring this topic up because it's somewhat unpopular to talk about, and maybe I've missed it from this well or from the rostrum over my time here at the General Assembly. But as we come up here after the wake of a shooting down in Florida, and we begin to pick up the conversations about guns and mental health, I began to look at some statistics, as I'm sure you have and you've heard from your constituents, and I hope that you'll pay attention as I'm trying to explain a couple of things to put on your mind this morning. We have a bigger issue in America than just guns and just mental health. It's called binge drinking in teenagers. You can do your research, and according to what statistician you want to read behind or what research agency you want to study behind, you'll get a variety of numbers, but just kind of put some out there for you. When we're talking about the health and safety, and as the minority whip mentioned about mamas burying their babies, that hits home to every doorstep in all 159 counties in the state of Georgia. Now, I said it's an American problem. It's a nationwide issue and epidemic. But we're not elected nationally. We're elected here to govern the state of Georgia. Folks, we send about 200,000 kids nationally a year to the emergency rooms because of binge drinking. And about 5,000 a year of them die. But we don't come to the well and talk about it a whole lot because alcohol hits home to each one of us. Whether it's that we enjoy social drinking and we don't want to regulate it, or whether it is that we enjoy getting knee-knocking drunk and we don't want it regulated, whatever the case may be, that's your personal decision. But when it comes into the minors' hands that we have laws of this land that say that they cannot have it, and you look at a statistic that says 12 to 15% of alcohol consumed in this nation is consumed by a minor. And 95% of that is consumed in the form of binge drinking. That is doing a keg stand. Let me make it where everybody can understand it. Funnel drinking, shotgunning, spinning the cap off of a fifth and throwing it out the window and turning the bottle up till the glass is empty. It is killing our children. And it is not in the conversation when we have traumatic events like the Florida shootings last week. Ladies and gentlemen of this house, I would just urge you, as you're sitting around with your colleagues and your delegation members, your committee folks, and you have conversations about mental health, you have conversations about guns, and you have conversations about bump stocks, and we want to regulate things, and we want to talk about issues that have great headlines. Let's talk about the silent killers in our country. Mr. Leader, I thank you for the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention.
That completes our morning orders, and we would now recognize Representative Metz to introduce our Doctor of the Day. Representative Metz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leader. I am especially happy today to introduce to you the doctor for today. He is a proud citizen of my district, District 55. His name is Dr. and you're going to test my Spanish right about now, Javera Duralde. Good. A native of East Point, Georgia, Dr. Duralde is a graduate of Woodward Academy. He earned his undergraduate degree with honors from Harvard University and his MD degree from Columbia University in New York. He remained at Columbia for his residency training and eventually his fellowship in shoulder surgery. Now, what I'm going to read next is very important. This is my second time introducing my proud member from District 55, but this was missed the last time around. Dr. Durrell Day served his country as a major in the United States Air Force from 1988 to 1992 and was stationed at the Royal Air Force Station in Upper Heywood in Oxfordshire, England. While in the Air Force, he served as Assistant Chief of Hospital Services, Chief of Surgical Services, and Chief of the Department of Orthopedics at the 20th Tactical Fighter Wing Hospital at the Royal Air Force Station in Upper Heywood. His additional duties and accomplishments included support for NASA shuttle missions and the deployment of a major contingency hospital during Desert Storm. And he also had he played a key role during the 1996 Olympic game. He served as the venue medical director for field hockey, and in 1998, he joined the Atlanta Braves as an assistant orthopedic surgeon and assumed the role of lead orthopedics from 2006 to 2016. He is a board certified member. He is an adjunct professor of orthopedics at Emory University School of Medicine. And lastly, in 1966, he joined Peachtree Orthopedic Clinic, where he is an active member of their volunteer team. And every summer they visit Haiti. It's an annual event to offer services at the hospital Albert Schweitzer. He is an active member of the Sacred Heart Church in downtown Atlanta and serves on the board of governors of Woodward Academy in College Park. I am pleased to present to you Dr. Durrell Day. Come on, Dr. Durrell Day.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for that great introduction. I'm just a little old doctor, okay? So it's my pleasure and honor and privilege to be here before you today. And I just want to thank you all for the hard work you do to assure the quality health care for our citizens here in Georgia, and assure you that we in Medical Association of Georgia and Georgia Orthopedic Society are committed to support your efforts in passing good legislation for our citizens. Thank you.
Take a picture.
Great job introducing the doctor. He could have done surgery in that length. Excuse me. Great job, Representative Metz. We'll move right along. We have an invite resolution there, and the chair will recognize Chairman Meadows for an invite resolution on Resolution 1192. Chairman Meadows.
House Resolution 1192 by Representative Meadows of the 5th, a resolution commending the Calhoun High School Yellow Jackets football team for winning the 2017 Class 3A state championship and for other purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'm going to preface, I've got 3 champions, and I'm going to present all of them. But before I do that, I want you to welcome my superintendent, Michelle Taylor. And my principal, Dr. Peter Kroom. And more importantly, look up there. All of you from Calhoun, stand up. They're over here on this side too. I would like to remind you that about 1/3 of my entire student population is here, and I love it. I'm going to read a resolution, and I'll try to be quick on these, y'all. Hopefully I won't have to do surgery. This is commending the Calhoun High School Yellow Jacket football team for winning the 2017 Class 3A state championship. Whereas the Calhoun High School Yellow Jacket football team has established and maintained a proud tradition of excellence with equal emphasis on character and academics. Whereas the superlative team has completed another triumphant season of football competition, excellent play, superior teamwork, extraordinary resilience, phenomenal performance of a team is a clear indication of outstanding athletic ability, but dedication and hard work. They've earned its well-deserved reputations for excellence by performing with courage and precision. And now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that members of this body commend Calhoun High School Yellow Jacket football team for winning the 2017 Class 3A state. I'm going to introduce you to Coach Hal Lamb. Hal Lamb has brought a winning tradition to Calhoun, and we are extremely proud that he's in charge of our young men. Mr. Lamb.
Thanks so much for having us. I want to thank Dr. Taylor and Dr. Kuhn for allowing us to come down here, and thank Mr. Meadows and the speaker. Calhoun is a very, very special place. Next year will be my 20th year as head football coach and athletic director, and I think it's the best school system in the state of Georgia. Thank you very much.
Great season. Congratulations, Coach. And guys, I know y'all are really proud. Chair recognizes Chairman Meadows to present Resolution 1190. Chairman Meadows.
House Resolution 1190 by Representative Meadows of the 5th, a resolution commending the Calhoun High School drama team for winning the GHSA 3A state competition for one act and for other purposes.
again, it's a honor for me to be able to stand down here and just show you the diversity that we have at Calhoun. I've gone from football, now I want to go to one-act play. And this is commending the Calhoun High School drama team for winning the Georgia High School Association 3A state competition for one-act play. The drama team has established and maintained a proud tradition of excellence with equal emphasis on character and, again, academics. These actors and actresses have completed another successful season of rehearsals and performances. We have excellent direction, superior acting ability, and extraordinary effort made this drama team a spectacular one to observe throughout their competition. They won their state title with Catch Me If You Can, and it's a wonderful performance for this team. Is outstanding artistic ability, hard work, and unity of purpose, particularly with each member of the cast and crew under the astute direction of Director Julie Leggett, Assistant Directors Rob Thompson and India Galen. I want to introduce y'all to Julie Leggett. She is their coach and director, and let her have a few words.
Thank you, Representative Meadow. I want to echo Coach Lamb and say how proud I am to be a teacher at Calhoun High School. Grateful to my colleagues who do tremendous work and to the hardest working bunch of young people you could ever imagine. Thank you very much.
Miss Judy, I just want to know if Chairman Meadows ever comes and consults on the drama portion, because he knows a little bit about drama from time to time. Chair recognizes Chairman Meadows to present House Resolution 1191. If the clerk would read the caption.
House Resolution 1191 by Representative Meadows of the 5th. A resolution commending the Calhoun High School Lady Jackets softball team for winning the 2017 Class 3A state championship and for other purposes.
Y'all, this one's a little special. I know that I have special athletes and actors and things in Calhoun, and we've done well. But I want to tell you a little bit about my softball coach. This is the Calhoun High School Lady Jackets. They won the state 3A state championship this year. And they have established and maintained a tradition under Coach Smith that is unparalleled. This team has completed another triumphant season of softball. Excellent play, superior teamwork, resilience, and I want to underline resilience. We captured our 4th state title in the last 5 years. Coach Smith can get a lot out of young ladies on that softball field. It's a true indication of outstanding athletic ability, dedication, and I'm going to underline hard work, because Miss Diane is and can be a taskmaster. She is joined as an assistant coach by Kayla Ralston and Lisa Drake. We had an all-star team of mostly underclassmen. With her today is our only senior. Our senior class, most of them decided to do something else because she's tough. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome my Lady Jackets and their coach, Diane Smith.
I always wanted to do that too. Okay. I would like to thank Representative Meadows and the House for having us here today. Calhoun's a great place to be, wonderful kids, and I give the credit to my girls. They're hard workers, and I appreciate all of them. I appreciate the student body, my principal, superintendent, and it's just a great place to be, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Chair now recognizes my friend Representative Dickerson to present House Resolution 1081. Mr. Clerk, if you'd read the caption.
House Resolution 1081 by Representative Dickerson of the 113th, Belton of the 112th, Welch of the 110th, and Rutledge of the 109th. A resolution recognizing and commending the City of Porterdale for receiving the 2018 Live Live, Work, Play City Award, and for other purposes.
She's also joined by Representative Rutledge
Belton.
and Representative Belton.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. Today I would like to introduce my mayor of Porterdale. Porterdale won the Best Small City Award. They're in Georgia Trend magazine, so please welcome them to this house. And with the mayor today is City Manager Bob Thompson, Councilman Tim Savage, and Main Street Director Josephine Kelly. Porterdale is one of the oldest intact mill villages, reinventing itself one day at a time.
Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Leader, and thank you to our wonderful State Representative Pam Dickerson. It's a real honor for us to be here today, and for me it's sort of a return. Like our very honorable Congressman, I was once here before. I started out with the House. I was in the floor leader's office during the Miller administration, and I retired from the Law Department where I worked for Attorney General Thurbert Baker. So I want to thank each and every one of you for what you do to keep Georgia this great state.
Good to have you back, Mayor, and congratulations on your recognition.
Thank you.
House will come to order. This House will come to order. I'm going to ask all members to please take your seats. I think we established earlier through one of our guests this morning that the United States Congress is not meeting this week. So that gives our delegation an opportunity to come visit with us, and we're honored to have them. And we're honored now to have one of our best in the delegation. I hope you'll help me welcome to the podium Congressman Jody Hice. Congressman Hice. Tell Carolyn I was nice to you, man.
Oh, yes, very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What an honor it is to be in the People's House of Georgia and to see so many great friends. This is a week in the district for those of us in Washington, and it's just an honor to be here with you. First of all, just want to say a huge congratulations to Governor Deal, as well as everyone in this room for an incredible job that you're doing. It's great that we've been able to get some tax cuts from Washington, and what you are doing here is going to help continue Georgia being the best place to do business in the United States of America. And I just say hats off and a very sincere thank you to every one of you for that great work. I recently was placed on the Armed Services Committee. We're meeting, in fact, today with a number of you, and it's an honor to be able to defend not only our country, but our military installations here in Georgia. We've got a lot of work to do, from countering terrorism to keeping our military ready and defending the homeland. So again, we're appreciative of your work. Just in light of all that's happening in our country these days, let me conclude just by saying this. We're all in this thing together. We all are in this together. And I would just encourage you in your last couple of weeks of plates spinning in every direction to take time to pray for our country. More than anything, we need God back in our country. We need people loving God, loving people. And I would just encourage you to take time to pray for our country. And I want to say to every one of you, God bless you. Thanks for all that you do, and God bless the United States of America. An honor to be with you today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 920.
House Resolution 920 by Representative Jones, the 167th, and Hogan of the 79th. A resolution commending Coach Rocky Hidalgo, the 2017 Georgia High School Class 6A Coach of the Year, and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Jeff Jones for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's always a pleasure to speak to the House, to the body of the House. In Glenn County, we are proud of a lot of things. We do a lot of things right, and you all know we've got the Golden Isles, and we certainly invite everybody to come down, and you've heard me say, bring your credit card and your checkbook when you come visit. Tourism's very important to us. But also football, high school football is very important to us in Glenn County. We are proud today to recognize Coach Rocky Hidalgo as the Class 6A Coach of the Year for the state of Georgia. Coach Hidalgo. I'm not going to read his accolades because his recognition as 6A coach really does speak for itself. Coach, you want to say a couple words?
I'd like to thank the Georgia House representatives here and Representative Johns and Hogan for this honor. I'm very appreciative of it. Also, Glenn County School District, our athletic director, Steve Waters, obviously my wife, my beautiful wife, Kelly Hidalgo. Without a lot of sacrifice on her part, none of these things could be possible. Thank you very much.
One last word. We didn't win the state championship this past year, but we came very close. Coach Hidalgo, 4 years of leading a great program at Glenn Academy. Thank you all.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1010.
House Resolution 1010 by Representative Elam in the 153rd, Green in the 151st, and Dukes in the 154th. A resolution commending the Albany Area Chamber of Commerce and recognizing February 21st, 2018 as Albany-Doherty County Day at the Capitol and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Elam for an invite resolution, and it looks like he's joined by Representative Dukes, Chairman Green, and Chairman Reinders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. Our delegation is proud to recognize today as Albany-Doherty County Day at the Capitol. Our chamber has placed a booklet on your desk that tells you about our Albany Chamber. Our delegation has the tremendous honor to introduce to the People's House our widely acclaimed Mayor of Albany, Mayor Dorothy Hubbard. Not only is Mayor Hubbard our outstanding leader, she is the president of the Georgia Municipal Association across all of Georgia. She advocates on behalf of Albany and 520 other cities across the state. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you our mayor, Georgia's mayor, Mayor Dorothy Hubbard.
Good morning. I am delighted to be here this morning, and certainly I bring you greetings on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, city staff, and all of the 77,434 citizens who call Albany, Georgia home. I also bring you greetings on behalf of the 520 other cities that I represent with the Georgia Municipal Association. It is an honor for us to be here this morning. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you in this august body for allowing us to be here and for all the work that you all did to help us last year during our twin storms. We have had quite a few things that happened in our city. Quite a few issues are still pending, but we want you all to know that we are in recovery mode. Last Saturday, we had over 500 citizens who come out to plant trees and shrubs. Over 1,000 trees and shrubs were planted in our community in Tiff Park. So we want you all to know how much we appreciate all that you've done for us. The other thing I want to do is, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the work that you are doing and have done for the Georgia Military Affairs Committee, as well as the Council on Rural Development Council. They were in Albany, and we certainly do appreciate you and that work that you are doing. Thank you for allowing us to be here, and thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the citizens of Georgia.
The House will come to order. House will come to order. Let's do a bill or two before we have lunch. How about that? We are now going on to the rules calendar. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 769.
House Bill 769 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 26 and Title 31 the official code of Georgia annotated relating to pharmacists and pharmacies and health, respectively, so as to implement recommendations from the House Rural Development Council relating to health care issues. This bill having referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Jaspers to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Glad to be the first bill up today. And one of the first bills we're having present to you from the Rural Development Council. During this past summer, we met 18 times all across Georgia listening to our constituents. There were a lot of issues brought up that were important to all Georgians, but health care stood out. Many hours of the council's time were spent listening and actually touching and going all across our state and drilling down to the real issues that we felt we could address. If you haven't taken the time to look at the Rural Development Council website, you need to. There's great videos that cover everything that I'll talk about and everything else. I really have to thank Chairman England's staff in the Budget and Research Office, also Chairman Powell and Chairman Watson for their work that's done on this. Okay, this proposal is a step to going in the right way to improve the effectiveness of rural health care. And so if you'll look at your bill, we'll kind of go through it pretty quickly in section 1 and 2. So something called remote order entry. And this is where a Georgia licensed pharmacist here in Georgia or outside the state can review a remote drug order for a hospital patient, looking at the patient record while working with a physician. This will allow pharmacists, believe it or not, to have a weekend. It helps eliminate workforce shortages, and there is an amendment you'll see in your book that goes with this. We've worked with the Pharmacists Association and the pharmacies that do remote order entry for a very good thing. Okay, on section 3, line 62, it was evident during the committee that we saw issues about credentialing and bill processing. And this is urging DCH to look at a number of things as you look down through there. Lots of them, but mostly about standardization of billing codes, multiple billing specialists at multiple encounters, a lot of different things. And I believe DCH is going to work with that, but we wanted to put it in the bill to make sure they did that. Also on line 84, it establishes the Rural Center for Healthcare Innovation and Sustainability within the current Office of Rural Health. This is a very important thing because it's going to look at the issues facing Georgia in healthcare. It's also going to provide a training program that will be mandatory for all our hospitals and everyone in it, board of directors, all the way down to just everyone. It's a good thing. Every 2 years, they'll have a lot of good training. And also look at planning. On section 4 and 5, we're looking at something called micro hospitals. I've had a lot of questions about this. One thing this does, it does not affect the CON of the original hospital, but on line 141 it defines it. And notice these can only happen if a hospital is closing and can be taken over by the hospital in the adjacent county. It limits the number of beds from 2 to 7. It provides emergency services 24/7 and the ability to stabilize patients. It does change the rural county number from 35 to 50, and that was done because during committee testimony we figured out and learned that it does take about 50,000 people to have a standalone rural hospital. On section 6, line 161, we're looking at ways to create the number of physicians who remain in Georgia to practice medically underserved areas in the state. This will create a grant program if funded to help provide those medically underserved areas with malpractice premium assistance as identified by the Georgia Board of Physicians Workforce. And in section 7, the last part is the hospital tax credit. There's a number of bills out here. This is one is added to this one. This tax credit is currently set at $60 million. Currently, only 10 million of it were redeemed. Accountants figure by moving from 90% to a 100%, such as we have with a goal, will certainly make sure that $60 million goes to rural hospitals. And this worked very well. I had a hospital administrator here yesterday looking forward to us passing that bill. But thank you for your attention to rural Georgia, and I look for your vote. And of course, Mr. Speaker, I'll be glad to answer any questions that I've created.
You have a question if you care to yield.
Oh, yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Spencer to your right for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for bringing this bill and recognize the hard work from the Rural Development Council. But I do have a question on line 71. It says, just to talk about the credentialing process, and it says reasonable steps to streamline and expedite. Have you, in your hearings, what was discussed in terms of a reasonable timeline that they could get these credentialings done for providers? Because it can take several months on this issue. So what is the department telling you that could be potentially reasonable?
Well, thank you for your question. You know, reasonable steps is a vague line, but we can't really force them or don't want to. But this is just telling them we would like for you to. We heard that over and over again, that it was taking 6 months, 9 months, even 12 months for some to be credentialed so they could be paid. But we're just urging them. That's all we can really do at this point.
Do you further yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Chairman Tankersley to your left for a question.
Chairman Jaspers, I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly. Would you just tell me a little bit more about the remote order entry, and do I understand that that will help our rural hospitals that maybe can only afford one pharmacist and they have to be away, they can still order for the patients?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Remote order entry, it's a new concept, you know, for most of us. We think of pharmacists only as the person that we see in the local retail pharmacy. Hospital pharmacists work very hard. Usually they're from 8 to 5, and what remote order entry does is allow a physician to make an order. That means he looked at the patient, he's evaluated him, he puts an order into the pharmacist. That pharmacist may not be in that hospital at 10 o'clock at night, at 2 o'clock in the morning. This remote order entry allows a Georgia licensed pharmacist to look at that order, then look at the patient record, meaning everything that's going about, the current medications they may take, their whole record, and then put an order in for the nurse to be able to then prescribe it or give it to the patient in the hospital. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Speaker,
You have no further questions.
Okay, I also have the amendment on the desk.
You have no further questions.
Okay.
Do you wish to speak to the amendment?
I'd like for everybody to agree to it. And I'm not exactly sure the procedure.
Then I'd like for you to get out of the well, and I'll find out if they want to or not. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. There is an amendment on your desk. It is AM 331731 by Chairman Cooper and Chairman Jaspers. The clerk will read the amendment.
AM 331731 by Chairman Cooper, the 43rd, Chairman Jaspers, the 11th. Amend the House Committee on Health and Human Services substitute to HB 769. LC 337332S by striking lines 21 through 25 and inserting in lieu thereof the following. Remote order entry means the entry made by a pharmacist licensed in this state who is an employee or contractor of a pharmacy licensed in this state or that holds a non-resident pharmacy permit issued pursuant to Code Section 26-4-114.1 from a remote location anywhere in the United States, indicating that the pharmacist has reviewed the patient-specific drug order for a hospital patient, has approved or disapproved the administration of the drug for such patient, and has entered the information in the hospital's patient record system.
Is there any objection to adopting the amendment? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the amendment is adopted. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute as amended? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 769 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 769. The first measure, by the way, to come out of the Rural Development Council to revitalize rural Georgia. The ayes are 173, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 735.
House Bill 735 by Representative Bentley of the 139th and others to be titled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the imposition rate and computation of and exemptions from state income taxes. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes another member of the Rural Development Council, Representative Bentley, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring to you House Bill 735. House Bill 735 creates an income tax credit for expenditures on the maintenance of railroad tracks owned or leased by Class 3 or short line railroads. This bill comes directly from the House Rural Development Council recommendations and mirrors the structure of the now expired federal 45G rail tax credit program by creating a tax credit in the amount of 50% of the qualified railroad track maintenance expenditures acquired during the taxable year with a 35,000 mile cap. House Bill 735 is a program designed to assist short lines with track reinvestments. Proceeds generated as a result of such tax credit assignment shall be reinvested in qualified railroad track maintenance expenditures by a Class 3 railroad. A short line railroad is considered a small or mid-sized railroad company that operates over a relative short distance. And how this tax credit will work: proposed tax credit is for short lines only, which means Class 3 railroads as defined by STB. Tax credit is equal to 50% of track maintenance and capital expenditures. And again, the tax credit amount is capped at $3,500 per track mile. This program is not a handout. The railroads must spend the money to generate the tax credit. Having an assignable tax credit for short line railroads will boost reinvestment, create jobs, and keep Georgia businesses connected to the national freight rail network. House Bill 735 is also supported by the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. This legislation is all about the railroad customers and economic development in Georgia, especially rural Georgia. By creating a program to drive continued reinvestment in railroad infrastructure, it will result in increased safety, efficiency, and boost cost competitiveness. The tax credit is based on other successful state programs that have a proven record of job creation and rail safety. This is a good program for Georgia that will create jobs and stimulate the economy again in rural Georgia. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I will pause for any questions if there should be any.
There are questions. Do you yield?
Yes, sir, I do yield for a few.
It's not for me. Let's start with the chairman of the Transportation Committee, Chairman Tanner, to your right for a question.
Thank you. Does the lady yield?
Yes, sir, I do.
Two questions. The first one, will this have any effect on the funeral home that my cousin owns in Dawson County, Ted Bearden?
No, sir, it will not affect your cousin's funeral home in Dawson, Georgia.
Okay, good. He wanted me to make sure. Second is, isn't this something that the Transportation Committee has looked at and talked about even as we've traveled the state over the last year with the Transit Commission, looking at freight rail with our Port of Savannah and the increased traffic coming out of that, how we can encourage more investment into our rail system?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Thank you for bringing the bill.
Thank you.
Do you further yield?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker, I will further yield.
Let's recognize one of your colleagues on the Rural Development Council, Representative Mac Jackson, to your right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the lady yield?
Yes, I yield.
Is it not true that there's a short line railroad in Sandersville?
That is true, yes.
Is it also not further true that I support this bill?
Yes, sir, that is true. You support this bill.
And is it also not further true that you and I appreciate Speaker Ralston for appointing us to this most important committee?
Oh, yes, sir, that is absolutely true.
Thank
yes,
you.
Sir.
No good deed goes unpunished, remember. Chair recognizes Representative Williamson to your right for a question.
Does the gentlelady yield?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, is it not true that these short line railroads serve as a virtual lifeline to rural communities throughout Georgia, as that most of these tracks had been essentially abandoned by our Class A railroads about 20-something years ago?
Yes,
is that
sir.
not true?
That is true.
Is it not further true that your bill came through our Income Tax Subcommittee and furthered its way through the Ways and Means Committee, of which you play an important part?
Yes, that is true.
Well, is it not further true that you will now forever be known in our committee as the choo-choo lady as well as the coffin lady?
The gentleman knows exactly what he's talking about.
But thank
yes,
you for your hard work on this measure.
Thank you. I will take some more questions, Mr. Speaker, if there are any. Okay.
You've heard the outcry of the crowd. Do you still wish to yield?
No, sir. I will now yield the well, and I ask all of you for your favorable consideration for House Bill 735. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 735 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the second piece of legislation from the Rural Development Council. The ayes are 172, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. This House is going to stand in recess for lunch until 1:15.